Hello, this is Diane Wiggins. Yes, it has been a long time since I've spoken, and I just felt that a couple of things that have come to mind, and I have just let it lapse, and I haven't said anything recently, so I feel that I should. Yeah, so let's get to it. So it's I sat down drinking a coffee, and just before work, and the Lord showed me a picture of people rising up to heaven. It was kind of, I was just praising the Lord, thinking how good he was, and then suddenly I had this vision of people just floating up to heaven. And I asked the Lord, how is that possible? And I heard a quiet voice. It was a still but quiet voice, but audible, answer that in the last days the redeemed shall be taken up into the heavens in their physical bodies. So that's the picture that I had, that I was seeing. And so it's just I'm trying to understand how that's possible. And the Lord explained further that as the heavens and the earth, this heaven and the heavens above us and this earth decay and are destroyed, the Lord explained that as it is described in Revelations, that a new heaven and a new earth will be prepared. So our physical bodies, in that instance, in the the bodies just floating up to heaven in that vision, is that they are physical bodies just floating up, and because there will no longer be the need of gravity, so gravity will have it'll have no power over us, but there won't be any gravity to hold us onto the earth, so we'll no longer be bound by that law. Our human bodies will be changed and become heavenly bodies, but how that change takes place, this was not explained to me. So how that would be done, or how that's possible. We would then live on the new earth, with the new heavens, the new earth, so with God ruling and reigning. So that ultimately is our goal, and is what God is wanting, is for us to be him, to be Lord, him to rule and reign over us. And it is our wish also, because we would have an uncorrupt government. We would then be living with him who is alive forever. This had been God's intention, and is God's intention from the start, when he created Adam and Eve. God wished to live with us, and God didn't want to be separate from us. So he wanted to have that close relationship, as any parent, father wants to have a good relationship with his son or his daughter. And it was the same with God. He wanted to have that relationship with us. So his plan has always been to be with us. So we will live our lives on the new earth as Adam and Eve had once started out. So separation for them only came because of sin, and because sin was given power and allowed to reign in their lives. So we must remember that sin only had power over Adam and Eve because they allowed it in. So it's quite interesting, actually, that little statement there. It's just, a lot of people think, that sin has power over us, but we have to give it permission, and so did Adam and Eve. They had to give it permission. They had to take that first step of responding to the lie, and which they did, and then that allowed the sin to come in. So there are laws within life, and that again, that is controlled by a law also. So it has to have permission from us. This sounds strange, but before any sin happens, we have to agree to that sin and believe that it is right, or that through fear we have no other choice. And often I find that even before something has happened, often we have to allow the sin to come in first, and we wonder why in some circumstances it's happened. But firstly, it must have happened in our minds, and then secondly, we believed it, and thirdly, we've acted on it. So believing it is, and believe that it is right, or that through fear we have no other choice. So often we believe that we don't have any other choice. What else can I do? Is often what is said. What else could I have done? I had to do this or that, and that's allowing and believing something that's untrue. And look at what's happening in society around us, around sexual immorality. Those victims that thought they had no choice, they were being held captive by fear. So that is quite significant in 2016 and even 2017, where there are more and more things coming out about abuse and sexual immorality towards people that were weak, vulnerable, and our children as well. These victims often thought that they had no choice, and they were held captive by fear, and fear of the perpetrator, and fear of those around them, of what others would think of them. And by agreeing with the perpetrators not to speak out, that again held them captive from being free and being set free from the sin which they had, and weren't. It wasn't that they deliberately agreed to it, but in the law and the scheme of things, it is that area of where we know we're doing something wrong, and that, I suppose, is all the guilt and the various other things that are held by people that make it difficult for them to speak out. And they often say, they felt guilty, they felt as though they'd done something wrong. It wasn't that they'd done something wrong, it was that the perpetrator had done something wrong to them, and they'd gone along with it, not deliberately or not knowingly, but through fear. And again, it's that speaking out, which is what is coming to light now, that's setting people free. And not only are they finding that it's setting one person or two people free, it's setting a significant number of people free. So keeping quiet about something that has happened to you is wrong, and speaking out about it is what will set you free and put everything in its right place, because you are, you're not the sinner if something like that's happened to you, but you feel like the sinner. I can understand that. And I just, another point is, I don't know whether you are aware of how the judgment of the earth, that it has already begun. So the judgment of the earth, it is happening now. So that includes the evildoers, murderers, adulterers, child molesters, liars. The list goes on and on. But the judgment is upon us, and is happening as more and more things are revealed about things that have happened to people. The truth is coming out, and the truth in the end will win, and the truth will reign, and God is truth. Okay, so this is what is happening now in our lifetime, and was spoken about in Revelations, that there's a time for the earth to be judged, and judgment is upon us. God bless you. Love you all. Thank you. Bye.